Hi, my name is Anila and I live in India. I'm a very outgoing and gullible girl and my own personality has played a dirty trick on me. I ended up becoming a mom to a baby who was not like the others since he drew his first breath. But let's start at the beginning. I'm 20 years old now. You should know that baby girls aren't very welcome in my country. Every family hopes for a son because he'll grow up to be a breadwinner and protector. A daughter, though, is waste of resources. She's going to cost a lot to raise only to be given away in marriage. And the bridegroom has to be paid to take her. This is called a dowry. There's even a law against disclosing an unborn baby's gender because many women terminate the pregnancy if it's a girl. My parents, however, loved me and cared about my reputation. Once, my girlfriends and I were riding our bikes towards the main street when suddenly 4 adult men came out of the woodwork. We only noticed they were following us after we went pretty far away from home. Sure, they might not have had anything nasty on their minds, but I was freaked out by how persistent they were. I struggled to cycle faster, but I just face-planted into the dust. My tunic was torn, and I was afraid of my family seeing me like this. So, we sneaked to my room through the backyard, wary of my watchful aunts. But my father learned about the incident anyway. I have no idea who snitched on me. He scolded me for falling off my bike, and I never risked riding far away from home again. One day, Dad came home smiling. He got paid for months of work plus a bonus. He announced we were going for a seaside vacation. It's very unusual for anyone to go there. It's like a paradise that's reserved for the wealthy. But here we were, a family of ordinary middle-class people traveling in the same train car with the rich. I was so happy. It had been my dream for so long. I was full of anticipation for something really special to happen. We were heading to Goa. We chose northern Goa, the favorite resort of young people, because it was affordable for us. Of course, I realized what my father's plan was. He wanted me to meet a successful businessman and start a family with him. I absolutely loved the tours of architectural landmarks. I visited many temples. There are a lot of those in northern Goa. Our journey to the place and just being there felt as if I was daydreaming. Everything looked like fantasy. Even the people seemed astonishingly beautiful and valiant. My father seemed to feel the same. He even stopped being the control freak he normally was, and I got to enjoy a small measure of freedom. Surrounded by the total prosperity and tranquility, my parents seemed to feel young again. Dad was showering Mom with signs of affection, and she looked flustered as she accepted these modest presents and flower bouquets. Occasionally, they'd go to a small low-cost restaurant for dinner, leaving me immersed in my favorite pastime of watching the sea and admiring the crimson sunset. One of those evenings, a young man approached me. He sat down on the sand next to me and asked me some silly question. We hit it off immediately, and our conversation took a fairly intimate turn. After looking around, he invited me into his hotel room to try some exotic cocktail. I felt euphoric as if he had dosed me with a magical potion. I recalled my father's admonitions, but I just had this impulse to do the exact opposite. I was doing everything I had been forbidden to do since I was a little girl. As soon as we were alone together, the obvious happened. After that, the guy called me a taxi back to my own hotel. I got anxious for a moment, but when I came home and sat down, my anxiety evaporated, just like my boyfriend did. I learned this when I came to visit him next morning. Apparently, his room had only been booked for 3 days, and he had left early in the morning. I never saw him again. I would just forget all about him, but that didn't work out. My pregnancy became apparent after a month. Dad noticed right away. He interrogated me, and I had to confess the great crime I had committed. After grieving for a few days, my parents sent me off to an aunt who lived in another town. They told everyone I had moved in with the wealthy husband I'd met during our time in Goa. My aunt really cared about me, and we had a great time together. I was very comfortable, and I felt a pleasant excitement at the prospect of having a baby. Finally, the big day came. And it was a day I'll never forget. I remember the way the baby looked at me when he came out. It was terrifying. The first frightening anomaly that was evident in his appearance was his eyes. One of his eyes was dislocated to the right, and the other eye, much smaller, was sitting close to his temple. He had no nose at all. But the scariest thing ever was his mouth. His upper jaw was the size of a grown man's jaw with enormous teeth. Imagine a baby with huge teeth. That's just ridiculous. The baby's skin had a blue sheen to it, completely unlike a real Indian's natural brown color. His tiny lips couldn't cover his mouth and it remained visible. It was a horrible punishment to become a mother to this mutant child. I was torn between the feelings of disgust and pity. He was my baby after all. He only lived for 3 weeks before dying and leaving me scared for life. I would like to warn every young girl out there to be very, very careful about who you spend your time with. I guess my casual acquaintance might have had an unhealthy genetic background and I was the one to pay the price. If you want to end up in a happy marriage with healthy kids, you do well to investigate your prospective partners. Otherwise, you're hurting yourself and your future baby.
Would you like to see more episodes? Support us by hitting like and subscribe. If you want to see your story in one of our videos, send it to this email address.